Oh, wow.
We're still cheering.
Yay, lots of cheering.
Woohoo!
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am Jamila Everett. I'm the Dean of Enrollment Management here at Webb, and we have all been so looking forward to this moment to officially congratulate you on your mission to Webb. So, another congratulations for you. So, what an incredible moment for us all to be here to gather to celebrate you and with so many other admitted families from all over the world, all over the US. We have students joining us today from, and put in the chat where you're joining us from, but we have students admitted from many places as far away as Vietnam and China and Thailand and Korea and Hungary and Dubai and across the country to Colorado, New York, Maryland. Yep, Maryland just got there. Atlanta and close by here in Claremont, just to name a few places. So this year we received a record 1,124 applications to Webb, and we admitted 14%. So this is the most competitive applicant pool in our school's history, and you are all a part of that moment. You know, every year the admission team and the admission committee, we read hundreds of applications and get to know you very well throughout the process. And every year there's always something that defines the class for us. So this year, I was really struck about the common thread with all of your applications and who you are, like your essays, your recommendation letters, your interview, when we all got to meet you, and your stories. You know, you are builders, you're innovators, you're definitely leaders, and you're incredibly warm and you have a lot of collective spirit. And most importantly, you step into rooms and you make them better. We saw that. So, what's ahead for the next hour? We're going to have some fun. You're going to meet a lot of great community members. You're going to hear about their stories here at Webb. You're going to hear a lot of great information, and we'll make sure that you leave with some good information and know what's coming next. And hopefully, you have a lot of fun in the process. And so we might even have some interactive games, I hear. So it's going to be fun. So for those of you that have visited campus for a tour or an event, you might remember some of your favorite places and areas on campus during your tour. You know, we have such a beautiful campus, and I thought it'd be fun for the admission team to reintroduce themselves. I'm sure many of you remember interviewing or interacting with someone on the admission team. And then, because they're very excited to extend their congratulations to you and maybe describe their favorite spots on campus. And to make this easy, you'll see that we have our screenshots behind us of our favorite places on campus. So I will go first. I love the Crossroads, if you see that here. It's between our academic buildings and our dorms, and it's such a beautiful area on our campus. It's historic, it's right in front of our beautiful historic Alamo dorm. And I love it because they have beautiful oak trees. So because we're in sunny Southern California, it gets a little warm. So it's really nice to find all the shaded areas in the crossroads. And we always have a beautiful convocation at the beginning of the school year where we welcome new students and all come back in August. And so it's just a beautiful area to sit and relax. So that's my favorite.
Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Arnold. So wonderful to see all of your names here. Welcome and congratulations. My favorite place on campus is behind me. You'll see the dining hall. I'll move my head a little bit there. From the minute that I walked onto this campus, I was in awe by this building, and I still am today, 3 years later. The flags, the fact that we all come together there every day to eat multiple times a day there. And I think it's just such a special place. And of course, our famous chocolate chip cookies are served from there. But again, today, years later, it's still my absolute favorite place.
Hello, everyone. I am Brian Brim, Assistant Director of Admission, and it is great to speak to you all again. My favorite place on campus is our Stockdale Community Center. And I love the Stockdale Community Center because no matter the day or the time of day, I can always walk in there and speak to a wide array of students, and just talk to them about different things that are going on campus, any events they're looking forward to, or I can just walk in and get my favorite boba from our student market as well.
Nice. So many fun places on campus. My name's Sarah Garcia, Senior Associate Director of admission at Webb. I've been here for 10 years now. And so my favorite spot is behind me, which is the track, the soccer field, the football field. Over my 10 years, I've had so many fond memories up here. I've taken my dog Joy to run around. Fun fact, I ran a barefoot mile around this track. I don't think the admission team knows this
Oh.
before I started at Webb when my brother was a student here. And most recently, we cheered on the girls soccer team as they were absolutely crushing it through CIF. So much excitement and fun. So there's a really fun gym hill that you get to walk up or run up to get to the track. And in winter, when we get some rains, you see some snow in the mountains, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Ridley. I am Assistant Director of Admission here at Webb. I'm so happy to have you all on with us, and congratulations to all of you who have been admitted to Webb. Very exciting. So my place on campus, I have the Vivian Webb Chapel behind me. I'm kind of in some cactus, but that's what I have behind me. That is my favorite spot on campus, just because so many special traditions are held within this building. One of them in particular is the signing in ceremony, which all of our newly admitted students participate in. So that would be all of you coming to campus on your first academic day. You'll go ahead and participate in our signing in ceremony, kind of welcoming you as a new student on your first day of class. And then we also have senior chapel talk. So it's kind of a full circle moment where you get to do this beautiful talk with all of your friends, family. Um, and other students here at Webb. And I believe we're going to have Brianna talk about that a little later on in our presentation, just to kind of give you a little more information on that. But welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you.
All right. So I have the privilege of introducing our incredible head of school, Dr. Teresa Smith. I know many of you may have met her on her fireside chat that she did in the fall, or maybe you met her when you came to Discover Web Day, or when you came to campus. And Dr. Smith is our head of school, but also in the truest sense of the word, she's a futurist. She's someone who really thinks deeply and boldly about what education needs to look like, and not just today, but for, the world that our students at Webb will inherit. And she leads Webb with this great combination of intellectual vision and genuine care for each student who walks through Webb. So I'm really happy that she's here to welcome you all, and you can learn a little bit more about Webb from her perspective. So welcome, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. Thank you for that very kind introduction, Dr. Everett. And just a huge shout out to our entire admission team for finding all of these incredible students to admit to Webb and just to bring the best and the brightest together on our campus. And that's how the magic happens here. So you're going to meet some of these kids here, students on our screen, and I think you're going to be excited about the community that you're joining. I just want to congratulate you once again. As Dr. Everett said, I'm Dr. Smith, I'm the head of school, and I've been here for 14 years. And I love living on this campus. As everybody was talking about their favorite spot, I put into the chat that I also love the crossroads. And then I thought it would be silly if I put that for all of them, but they are all pretty exciting, incredible spots that are really dynamic. I think my second one is the track along with you, Sarah. So it's really beautiful there. I just wanted to tell you a little bit, as you came onto our campus, if you have been here, you'll see our mission kind of carved in stone at the front. And I know when you filled out your applications, you were asked to think about what part of the mission really resonates for you, right? Is it thinking boldly, mindfully, and creatively? Is it acting with honor and moral courage, leading with distinction, or serving with a generous spirit? And I also want to point out this part of our mission that sometimes gets forgotten, which is the framework at the beginning, which is that, we are trying to create here a dynamic learning community that nurtures and inspires our students and alumni. And I wondered if you might put in the chat what you think dynamic learning community means, because to me, it's a really important part of what we're doing here. So, I invite the students on screen, but everyone to just put, what does it mean to have a dynamic learning community? I'm a teacher, so I can wait for the quiet time while people put their great ideas in the chat. At least one. All right, freedom to explore interests. I love it. What else do we have? Yes, a curriculum that can change and adapt with the times. I love it. We wish. I think the world is really nimble, open to listening to ideas. These are all great. Constantly are interacting with people, fun. To me, the world is evolving quickly and our program has to continue to evolve. And I think that's what a dynamic, real world impact education is, right? We want our students to be engaged in designing their own program. We don't have teachers lecturing at the front of the room. And I'm really excited for you to join us and to help create your experience here and also to create, knowledge. Like that's the kind of work that we're doing here. And then what about nurturing and inspiring? Like what do people need to be nurtured and inspired in a place? I love all the comments that you're throwing in the chat, right? What's nurturing and inspiring? We wish, how are you nurtured here, right? What are some of the ways?
Should I
Yeah.
speak or should I type?
Sure, type. We're putting it all in the chat. Mutual respect, right? Teachers and students learning together. I think it's everything from helping students to see like what is possible in an even bigger way than they thought, creating a community that supports each other, finding joy and camaraderie in that. And sometimes it's just like baking cookies at my house, right? That's what I thought you'd put in the chat, we wish, because we've done that. We want our students to grow into honorable leaders, and we want them to experience the power of community while they're here. So I'm just going to tell you a quick story about a group of students that I've been talking about some because they have been building a rocket. And you've probably, if you've been following our Instagram or looking on our website, seen a bit about their project. But I think it's a really good example of what we do here. They walked into my office a couple years ago and they said, we want to build a rocket and we're going to need your help. So I said, all right, let's get a proposal together and see what you need. And they basically have put together, over the last couple of years, an incredible rocket building program. They did it with their creativity and hard work and with the support of incredible teachers and administrators who provided resources. And they also did it because we're in Los Angeles. And we happen to have a Mojave Desert launch pad up the street and people at SpaceX and people at USC who were willing to answer questions when they emailed them. And I was so impressed with what our students did because, they created and built and did a static fire test of the most powerful liquid fueled rocket engine ever built by high school students in the country that I sent a little note to the chief scientist at JPL. That's the Jet Propulsion Lab that creates all of the Mars rovers and all these things for NASA. And he, wrote back. He was pretty impressed. We had a great meeting with him. And I basically sat back and watched our students talk about rocketry and advanced physics with the chief scientist at JPL, who said to them, if you need my help, just let me know. I'm happy to help. So I think that's an incredible example of what we do here at Webb. We bring together kids who have big ideas and we use our network on campus and in the greater LA area to support their dreams. So I'm really excited to meet all of you and to hear what your dreams are. And whether it's building a rocket or baking some cookies with me on a Saturday afternoon, like we're going to find a way to do all of it together. So welcome. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our assistant head of school, Mr. Michael Ho. He is an incredible partner in helping to educate our students here as our assistant head of school. And I'm so thrilled for you to get to hear more from him. All right, welcome.
All right, thanks, Dr. Smith. And again, congratulations to all of you on the call today. It is so great to see some of your names up here, from admission file to the Zoom to then seeing you all in person. It's such an exciting journey. And again, just wanted to give credit to our incredible admissions team who has been working tirelessly to put together this amazing group of people on this call. And so, as Dr. Smith said, my name is Michael Ho. I am the assistant head of school here. I'm also a proud Webb alum in the class of 2004. And so I have quite literally walked the shoes of a Webb student, and just really it's an honor to be back at home, really, to be working with these incredible people every single day. And what I wanted to do was just to give you a small glimpse of some of the happenings at Webb that have been going on over the last few weeks. And it's hard to believe, but I was actually looking through these slides and they were all within the last month. So this is just in a month that all of this happened, right? So first and foremost up here, obviously February is a big cultural month for us at Webb in our community. We kicked it off with our Black Joy and Excellence. Conversations around Black History Month and Black Excellence, and we had just an incredible night of dancing and food and celebration and hearing some history around all of the different types of ways in which the Black community shows up at Webb here. And then, of course, we had our Lunar New Year celebration, which seems to just keep getting bigger and bigger every year. I'm the person in that suit. No, I'm just kidding. That's not me. But it was just a fun night where we essentially convert lower campus into a street market. We have students from all around the world sharing what Lunar New Year means to them at home, to their home countries, and to them personally. And then we just celebrate with a lot of good food and joy. And it was just so much fun to be able to have students, take part in things that are so close to home for them. And so that was kind of how we kicked off, or how we, thought about the cultural celebrations in the month of February, last month. We just wrapped our winter athletic season, and we had an incredible run in two sports in particular. I think all of our winter sports were actually quite successful. We made the playoffs pretty much in every single one of our winter sports. But this one in particular was the Friday before February break. It was the second round of the CIF tournament. And we ended school. I mean, we basically had G block that day, but many of us went up to support our boys who had to start the game early. The entire gym was packed in our brand new gym, of course, and the game ended up going to triple overtime. And so I still have not been able to let this one down because I confidently told Dr. Smith it wouldn't be longer than an hour and a half. As the two of us were thinking about our afternoons, and they go into the first overtime, it's like 2:10. She looks at her watch and looks over at me because we're standing right next to each other. And of course, it's one of those crazy games that you just enjoy being a part of and seeing. And the greatest thing about it is we were in the third overtime. We were down by two with like 38 seconds left, and we ended up winning that game. And just to see the support and the sheer joy of the kids, and the support behind the boys was incredible. Especially a way to go into February break. I think it was amazing. Next slide, please. And then, of course, our girls soccer team continued on into February break. In fact, they made a deep run into CIF and ended up winning the Division 8 championship one beautiful Saturday afternoon, and this is their post-game win with the final score of 4-0. Um, and again, it was a moment where the community was coming together to celebrate and to just be so excited for our team. And they continued on, and I think going into it, we had a relatively young team. Not a lot of people we were surprised, like pleasantly surprised in terms of making such a deep run. And then they just kept winning, and it was just one of those things that was so fun to be a part of, and for all of us to celebrate with them. And so it was just a fantastic moment, and you can clearly see the joy in their faces after they had been presented with the plaque there. And so we had the cultural celebrations in February. And then we had our athletic celebrations. And of course, we are a school, of course. So we had some academic things happening. But the reason why I put these two up here, these two photos, is because we actually, over February break, hosted the Western Association of Vertebrate Paleontology Museum or conference on our campus. And Mila on the left there presented some of her work. She's working on a fused crocodile skull right now, which is pretty amazing. And she found that during one of her summer peccary trips. Um, but we also had just like world-renowned paleontologists from around the world on our campus, hearing from our students. And this is a huge testament to our museum and the work that the students in our museum are able to accomplish. And they were giving talks and lectures to professionals in the field as juniors and seniors in high school. And you literally cannot get that anywhere else in the world but at Webb. And I think that that was just a fantastic showcase. And again, they were here over the February break doing this, not because they felt like they had to, but because they really love this and this is a passion of theirs. And so going from cultural to athletic to our academic space, if we can go to the next slide, please. We also just wrapped up our Unbounded Days program. And on our Unbounded Days program is one of our kind of signature flagship experiences where we take 3 to 5 days off of our normal class schedule. Teachers get to design all of these fun and unique and exciting experiences all around the state. And this particular group went to Joshua Tree here, and they had a nice little phone-free, electronics-free-ish. I mean, there was still electricity and things like that there, but phone-free retreat into Joshua Tree to just connect with one another, connect with nature. They went on some hikes, they practiced some meditation, they thought about journaling. I'm sure they cooked a lot and ate a lot and played board games. And so, I think our Unbounded Days program was phenomenal. And, just to give you a contrast, obviously this is out in Joshua Tree, which again, to Dr. Smith's point, is really just right up the road from us. If we go to the next slide, we also have the beach, and this group went down to Crystal Cove. They learned how to camp on the beach. They learned how to surf. They learned, how to be safe in the ocean, and also how to understand the balance between the beach as a tourist attraction while also still thinking about Crystal Cove and the tide pools and what it means for our ecological implications and for our marine life and the impact on that. And so, these were some of the kind of outdoorsy and experiences, overnight experiences, but we also had all kinds of super exciting day experiences on campus. I hosted one where and one of my students is on this call, which is why it's making me think about it. But we produced from scratch, wrote and produced and mixed and mastered our own tracks from scratch, and we're able to go into a world famous studio in Los Angeles and use the actual microphones that these world-renowned artists have used in the past, which was phenomenal. We had students that learned how to be clowns, like actual clowns. We had students learning how to cook, learning how to manage portfolios, select stocks, and present to Goldman Sachs advisors. And so we really ran the gamut here in terms of Unbounded, and that literally just finished last week. And so you can see that all of those things happen all within 3 or 4 weeks of one another here at Webb. And so there's never a dull moment in our program, and there's always something to be done and always a lot to engage in for our students and for our community. And so it's just clearly just a really vibrant place. There's always something happening. And I just wanted to give you a little snapshot into our last month because we had a really, really fantastic time. And we just kicked off Web Day and Web Night, which is a beloved tradition today with our students which is essentially a class competition. I don't know if we're going to talk about it a little later on, but it's just it continues to the year just keeps going and the events keep coming and it's just an exciting time, an exciting moment here at Webb. And so I wanted to share that with you all. And so now I'd love to just hand it back over to Sarah Garcia. I also do love the track. And running up Jim Hill, you should have also put an asterisk and said, or hoping a teacher is driving a golf cart up there to snag a ride on the golf cart up Jim Hill.
It's very true. It's the workout before you begin your workout. I'll say I saw a beautiful meteor shower on that track. I went up, I think it was about 3 or 4 in the morning one year. And I remember because Mr. Ho's house, Dr. Smith's house, they're all right up there. And I remember kind of driving up with my family. My kids were a little bit younger. And the whole time I was like, shh, whisper, whisper. I was so terrified. I was going to wake up Dr. Smith right before in the middle of the night for this meteor shower. But it was absolutely beautiful to see it from there. So thank you, Mr. Ho, for that wonderful, and Dr. Smith sharing more about Webb with us. We have a lot of parents that will come, to visit Webb with their students. And at the end of it, they'll say, can I go to Webb? And I'm familiar with Webb, of course, but after hearing all of these things again, I'm getting that itch of like, can I sign up? I would love to join that Crystal Cove Unbounded Days or Joshua Tree or any one of those amazing opportunities. So thank you for sharing more about that. I think another thing that makes our community so special, of course, is the students. And we have all of our newly admitted students here that will be joining this community and putting into it in the way that our current Webbies already have. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to some of our current Webbies that we have with us today. So if I could have our current Webbies introduce yourselves, please. If you could say your name, your grad or your year, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th. If you are a boarding student or a day student, your hometown, and your favorite place on campus. And if you forget, we can remind you, no worries. And can we start with We Wish?
Absolutely. My name is Wiwish Mahawong. I'm a boarding student, actually, and my hometown is in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And I think that my favorite place on campus, it would have to be the museum, but the desk's right next to the museum where you can study, and there's a light breeze, and I've done some translating of the museum science there. So yeah, I really love that. I really love Webb.
Hi everyone, welcome and congrats to the newly admitted students. My name is Leanne. I'm a freshman. I'm a boarding student from Los Angeles, California, and I think I have to say my favorite place on campus is the pool. I did water polo in the winter season, and I'm currently in swim for the spring season, and it's just a really beautiful pool. We have a view of the mountains, and over this winter, it was really snowy, and you could see all the snow on the top of the mountains. So it's just so beautiful, and we have a wonderful pool.
Hi everyone, my name is Renina Wisha. I'm a sophomore this year. I'm in 10th grade. I am from Claremont, California, actually. I only live like 15 minutes away, but I do live in the dorms. I just really wanted that experience. And my favorite place on campus is probably the tennis courts right near my dorm, near Appleby dorm. I think that they're a great place to just come together with a lot of different people, and you can always just see someone playing, so you can just go and join them.
Hi everyone, my name is Henry and I'm a sophomore this year and I'm also a boarding student from Hong Kong. And I would say my favorite place on campus would be the track, which is at the top of the gym hill. It's a bit of a walk to get there, but like it's definitely worth it once you're up there, especially during sunset times. It's really beautiful. And just going up with friends after a long day, just to relax and talk, it's really amazing. So.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm a senior. I'm a boarder. Um, and I currently live in Boston. And I think my favorite place on Webb, it's tied between two. But I think it's tied between the South Hutch dorm, which is South Hutch Dorm Lounge, which is the dorm that I've lived in for all 3 years, or the wrestling room, just because wrestling is such a big part of my life. I don't wrestle anymore, but I managed. And it was just had such a big impact on me, and I just love the room. It just brings back so much memories.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm a senior and I am a day student, so I live about 10 minutes away from Webb in Claremont. And one of my favorite spaces on campus is I love Centennial and I also love up at the track. They're just amazing places to watch the sunset. So I love our outdoor spaces on campus.
All right. Well, thank you. Before we dive in, keep the questions coming in the chat. We're going to get to those in a minute. But before we dive into those, Dr. Everett kind of alluded to a fun little game. We're going to do a really fun poll right now. So we have a few different questions. We'd love to get your feedback. If you've done a Slido before, you know what to do. If you haven't, You can either scan the QR code with a mobile device, or you can go to slido.com and enter in that code. We're gonna give you a second, and I'm gonna go ahead and log on in here too because I also want to play along and vote, especially because the first question is choosing the Unbounded Days course you would sign up for. Mr. Ho gave us a nice little overview of that, introduced a few of those opportunities. We have a lot more courses than what is here. You're already voting. I don't even need to read these to you because we have kayaking, robots, desert solitude, taste buds, shopping like chefs at farmers markets, doing blind taste tests. People are voting. So far, it's dinner time here in Southern California and perhaps in some other places. So that one is winning out right now. Oh, okay. So we have, yep, still taste buds at the top. And then we're going to scroll on down. I think Mrs. Ridley might be controlling that, I believe. So you can kind of see what's winning here. Any more for the kayaking on Catalina Island? We were just talking about Catalina and the Channel Islands earlier today with the admission team and our favorite island experiences here off the coast of California. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Top one is the taste buds. This bodes well for your web experience because our dining hall has some amazing food with a lot of different stations for meals. So taste buds won this poll. All right. And now I would love to invite our current Webbies. We have the names of the traditions here. What web tradition are you most excited for? Could we have our current Webbies just kind of give a quick snapshot of what these are so people have some context before voting? Oh, they already know they want casino, but go ahead and introduce.
Well, let's begin with Web Idol. It's really, I haven't done it yet, but it's coming up and I'm really excited for it. It's a competition between the dorms, between the male dorms specifically, where they prepare dances, and then the female dorms will help choreograph those dances. And then finally, during long lunch, there's going to be a big competition with multiple songs. They will compete against each other. They're going to see which dorm comes out, and they will see which dorm comes out of the Web Idol. So I'm really excited for that this year.
Yeah, and then moving on to senior chapel talks, these are really exciting. This is basically like an accumulation of people's experiences, not just at Webb, but kind of like with their entire high school years, like what people have learned just in life in general, like some important lessons that they could maybe share with other kids and share with people at Webb, and also just kind of like letting everyone know like exactly who they are and their personality before they leave, especially for the freshmen and like sophomores that maybe don't know them as well. And it's just like a great opportunity to have. It's a lot sometimes like a college essay, just sharing your experiences and telling everyone some important things about your life.
Another fun event is also Jubilee. So I haven't experienced this event yet, but it does happen, I think, around May. And it's essentially like a big music festival for Web, kind of like a Webcella almost, where people are able to perform and have fun. I think if you see this picture on our slide here, I believe that is of Jubilee. And so I'm so excited to see it for the first time, and I think it would be a really fun event.
And of course, we have Web Day, which is one of Web's really long-standing tradition here, and it's also one of the most memorable days for a lot of our students. This event is basically a time where students are able to show class spirit by competing against other grades in a series of fun events from everything from like dodgeball to pull the van and other team challenges. So everyone's always excited and energetic, and it's a great way to bond with your class. Um, and yeah, there's so many different kind of activities that no matter what you're into, you'll definitely be able to be involved and enjoy the web experience.
And then the final one on the poll, which I think is winning, is Casino Night. So I mean, the title kind of gives it away on what it is, but it's basically a night where students get to dress up in like formal attire and play casino games, not with real money, with like little tokens. And you can enter raffles with what you win from those games, and you can get prizes, as well as there's a little mocktail bar run by a leadership group on campus. And it's always super fun, and you get to hang out with friends and learn if you have really good luck or really bad luck.
All right. Did we get to all of them? We did, right?
I think we missed
We
convocation.
missed
I
convocation.
think we
We
have
cannot miss convocation.
I think Brianna could talk a little bit about convocation.
Yes, I can. So, convocation is basically opened at the beginning of the year. It's where they introduce the new class, so that will be you, and they talk about new faculty who are at the school, kind of introduce them to the community. And they also have the executive presidents of student government kind of give a speech. So, it's a great time to kind of get the whole school together and to introduce the new students and new faculty to the entire school. So, it's a great way to make your mark.
Awesome. So many fun traditions. Go ahead and finish casting your vote here. Looks like casino night is really popular. All right. So we'll look forward to that next year with all of our new Webbies joining in. But so many different traditions that you can join in at Webb. Thank you, Webbies, for helping to explain and provide an overview for that. Sports are going strong. All right, let's see who's winning. I'm a little competitive and I do have a favorite sport, but I don't want to influence or impact with a bias here. So we have basketball in the lead right now, soccer, volleyball, tennis, badminton, and we have, oh, and water polo. Where you go ahead. If you don't see your sport in the Slido, this is where we get unbounded with our thinking. We're not going to be restricted by the poll. We could only fit so many on the screen. Drop your favorite sport in the chat there and go ahead and take that vote away as well. So we have, I think it's 15 different sports that you can try. Every student will participate in at least one throughout the year. Triathlon, nice. Football, water polo, and swim. Yeah, well, today here, if you're not in Southern California, it's about 90 degrees. It's a pretty warm day. So I will say that those pool sports are sounding pretty good today. All right. Well, we can go ahead and wrap up the poll. Thank you for everybody for your participation there. It's really fun to see what you're excited about. There's so much more that you're going to be able to try at Webb, but that's a really fun start. We would love to jump into some questions now. Again, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'm going to have our students start by sharing a little bit. We did ask for you to submit questions in advance in the registration. And we're going to go ahead and answer those as best we can. If you still have a question or a question that's really specific towards enrollment, please reach out to us. Today, we're really trying to share with you the student experience. Students are so excited to share more about Webb with you. But we want to be able to answer all of your questions and know that our time is somewhat limited today. So please, again, reach out to us at admission@webb.org if you still have questions after today. But I would love to start with our current Webbies. If a couple of you could share, why did you choose Webb? We have our admitted students here today. They're figuring out what next step they're going to take. So could you just share what it was for you that made you choose Webb?
Being a freshman, I think I can try to answer that question. I think I chose Webb mainly for two reasons. One is that I think I saw the rigor of its academic courses, especially as Webb is the only high school, I think, to have a museum. So that was very attractive to me. But the second part that made me choose Webb over any other school was that Webb seemed to place a much stronger sense of community. For instance, I know we're this weekend we're going to have Webb Day, Webb Night, where all the classes compete against each other. But in addition to that, I think Webb is very multicultural and celebrates diversity because we have these community events. You have the Lunar New Year dinner, you have the upcoming Asian Affinity Fashion Show, you had the Black Joy and Excellence dinner. And I think that personally, for me, Webb recognizes and celebrates who I am. So that's why I chose Webb.
I think, sorry, to add on to what We Wish was saying, as a fellow freshman, I really chose Webb because I think our program is built to be so well-rounded. Um, we have wonderful academic resources. We also have great athletics programs, extracurriculars, affinity groups, community events. And I think that altogether it creates a really holistic high school experience. And that was really something I was looking for, kind of a place that has it all and does it all. And so I think that having had my first year here, that Webb has really stayed true to that. And I've been able to meet so many new people and have so many new experiences with everything. And all of the activities and extracurriculars have been so wonderful.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that, as a transfer sophomore, a pretty similar experience, just like kind of deep diving into different schools and what their atmosphere was like and their culture. But along with that, just kind of seeing the different communities and seeing which ones that I like thought I could fit into was really important for me. And for me, I found a lot of like little niches that I thought that I could definitely contribute to or just have fun in and just be myself in. And so like places that I hadn't even tried before, like robotics, which is open to anyone, places that I had already been in before, like volleyball. So it's just like finding those kinds of places on campus just made me feel like kind of seen, and it kind of made me like see myself as a whole being able to live here and being able to kind of like contribute to the community in that way. And I think along with that, there's so many leadership opportunities in the things that you love, and leadership isn't really constrained to wanting to be on StuGov or just one of three powerful positions. It's kind of everywhere on campus, and that's something that I really valued.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I have another question. If a couple of you would like to answer, what advice would you give to an incoming student? Again, our students here today are newly admitted, are in the process of choosing their school. And so when they're coming into Webb, what advice would you give to them?
Um, I think my biggest piece of advice is to just really embrace the opportunities that web gives you. I think web is a place where anyone can feel welcome because there's so many different paths you can take with different classes, clubs, sports, arts, traditions, and also we have a lot of weekend activities too. So I would just say to try new things, even if you're not sure about them. And I think that's how I personally was able to discover things that I enjoyed at Web.
I think I definitely agree with that. I was gonna say don't be afraid to try new things, but also don't be afraid to try something that you may have tried before and then stopped. So, like, for example, I swam growing up, but then I stopped at like age 12, and I recently just picked it back up at Webb last year. And I was really scared, but the team is really nice, and I really like that I had the opportunity to join again because I miss swimming and I really do love competing here. And so take the chances, and like there's so many sports offered, and the fact that you have to do one, it gives you this opportunity to meet a new team and try a new sport or go back to one that you haven't had the chance to do.
Great.
I would recommend just being confident in who you are because I think that was something when I came to Web, I really wasn't. I was scared to speak up, scared to share my opinion. And I think that just knowing at the beginning that you belong here and that you are on the same footing as any upperclassmen and your voice is just as appreciated, is really valuable.
Thank you for sharing. We have a question in the chat asking about how international and local students interact, as we kind of opened up with, and you can just see from, our newly admitted Webbies joining us today, and also our students, our current Webbies here. We have over 20% international students. We also have local students and students from across the country. So when you think about this and the web community, how does everybody kind of come together? How do they interact?
This was a question for us, right?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Anybody,
Okay,
yes,
sorry.
please
I just
go
wanted
for
to
it.
make sure.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I mean, like for me, it's great to meet and get to work with people who are so different from you, but still so connected. For example, like in my advisory, I have students who live in Saudi or or are from Hong Kong, and in some ways, like there is that difference, but when you have that kind of connection of going to school together and having classes together, you really don't feel that separation as much. It's really just I kind of have a different culture and background, and you do too. But those are the things that kind of allow us to kind of connect with each other and build each other up. And so, in that regard, I would say that things are very much connected. And a lot of the times, like I take my boarding international friends off campus to go like get acai or eat food. So it's definitely not something that really divides our campus, in my opinion.
And then feel free if another student would like to add in, you're welcome to, but it's also okay if we want to move on to the next question. I just want to give you an opportunity if you would like to share.
Yeah, I think really quickly I can kind of touch on that with my own experience. I am not an international student personally, but I know a lot of international students from being in this dorm and just like forming those kinds of friendships. I've found that in a lot of the spaces I'm in, there's also a lot of international students, and that's really valuable to me because it's not the fact that someone's maybe from an entirely different like culture or country. Like that's not something that should necessarily divide you or make you think of other people as so different to yourself because I found that in so many cases like that's not the point at all. One of my best friends actually lives in this dorm. I wish she were here right now. She's often in my bedroom. But it's just like finding those connections, and especially you might not realize how connected you already are, like especially through social media and things like that. Like there are so many opportunities to bond with people, and so I think it's really like important to just reach out first and form those kinds of connections.
I'll also jump in that one of our major student leadership groups is called the International Student Liaisons, and so their job is really to bridge the any sort of gap between international students and domestic students. They will be the ones who are reaching out to our international students over the summer, making sure they are connecting with Miss Garcia and Dr. Everett if they're an I-20 holder, and so all the things like all the paperwork that they have, and or getting on WeChat groups or on WhatsApp groups to connect students from similar locations around the world who might not yet know each other, or to kind of set that peer-to-peer connection so that when they get to campus, it feels like they already know a big group of people. So they do a lot of the outreach and connections with our students, but they also do a lot on campus to celebrate and to bring some home to Webb. Whether it's a dumpling making class like we ran a few, or a workshop that we ran a few weeks ago, or just an international week, which is coming up in a few weeks, where they just get to celebrate lots of different cultures, and again bring a piece of home to students here at Webb as well.
All right. And I know it's so reassuring for families that live far away to know that we do have, students within the local area that build really close relationships, with students and take them in, for a home cooked meal or for a break as well. And the same when you're a local student, knowing your network is now not just Claremont, your network is across the country and around the world, and students will go visit each other, in their hometowns, and kind of do their own little exchange, which is a really, I think, special part of the community as well. Okay, so we have more questions coming in. A question about, for our student panelists here, if you were nervous about joining the web community first, how did you overcome or solve it? Were you nervous?
Can I try and answer this question?
Yeah.
Well, I think that when I first came to Web, I was definitely nervous as all new boarding school students are. But then I learned that Web has many activities and community groups. I think one of the first that I joined was BIPOC, for which is the group where Black and people of color come together and we have dinner at Dr. Greco's house and we just discuss things about the school. And that was just on something I found in my first 2 weeks of school. And following that, I found more groups. I found Asian Affinity, StuGov, and on until I just found a lot more friends and became a lot more connected to the community. So my advice would be you're going to be nervous, but if you keep trying to outreach to the community, then eventually you'll find yourself within it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And maybe can we kind of ease into the next question? We wish, I think you touched on it with sharing about your experiences within the first 2 weeks. What can a new student expect to experience really in those first 2 weeks? I know there's so much going on with orientation and dorm move-in and class trips and all of that. But what can a new student really expect during that time of transition?
I think something that I personally really took away from those two couple of weeks was just like being with so many other people all of the time. And not necessarily in like an overcrowded kind of way, but in a way that's like meant to kind of build you up and meant to kind of like acclimate you to campus. Especially since I'm a transfer, I was kind of worried about that at first. I was like, maybe I won't make friends that easily or something like that. But immediately, first of all, I had volleyball tryouts and then I had retreat. And so it's just those kinds of opportunities that really get you to form not only like close bonds with people, but just to be able to know everyone's name and to be able to interact with the like everyone in your class's population. Then once you get to actual like classes and everything, like everyone in the web population. And so I think that that's really important. Just like immersifying yourself in web during those 2 weeks because I think that it really paid off for me. And I think that like just don't be scared. Don't be scared to go up to new people. A lot of people are going to come to you. So just, yeah, like be ready and be able to kind of make those bonds and just be yourself around others.
And we are already coming up close on time. So there's another question here I would like to ask. Was there an opportunity at Webb that you discovered after enrolling that you wish you had known about earlier? So this could be like something you got to Webb and then you discovered it and you hadn't learned it prior. And you're like, oh, I wish I knew that on Wednesdays we had cookies or something. I'd save my treats for that day. Anything about Webb that you discovered after enrolling, that you wish you had known sooner that you could share with our admitted families here?
I can try this question. I think one thing that I really care about now that I didn't know about when I first came to Web was this is a bit different, but the web archives. I didn't actually know that they existed until a couple months in, and I was in the Flags and Heraldry Club. We were we were holding a meeting with Mr. Ho, actually. We were asking about the web flag and the web crest, and eventually he mentioned offhandedly that there was a web archives. We were intrigued. So we dug deeper into that and we found out that web does have an archive. We began to so me, Chloe, Sakina, and Nancy, we began to go on Mondays and Fridays to volunteer at the archives. We're digitizing the documents, we're sorting out everything. And it's just really interesting to realize that Webb has such a long and rich history, goes like 100 years, because we have all the letters of Thompson Webb in there, and you can read about his struggles to found the school. And eventually I think it's good to see that 100 years later, his work has succeeded.
All right. And I know we're coming up on time. Like I said, we do have another question in the chat that I would like to close out with. From somebody asking, and this may be hard because it's asking for a typical day at Webb. And I know that that's hard to do. Not every day is the same. But could one or two of you just share from your experience what our students could expect in a day at Webb?
I mean, I can go if that's okay. So I think for me, like I can give you like a breakdown of like the schedule. The way it feels is like in the morning, you have breakfast obviously from 8 to 8:30 if you would like. I think it also opens earlier if you're a morning person. After that, you'll have your first class, and the great thing about Web is it's structured. So after every class, you have some sort of break. So after first block, still in the morning, you'll have either chapel, advisory, or kind of like a free period, which we call X block. And then after that, you'll have your second class, you'll have lunch, which is your break after second class, and then you'll have your third class, and that will end around 2 or 2:40 depending on the day because sometimes we have long lunch, which is amazing, just a longer lunch block. And then after that, you'll have an office hours period and a transition period before you have your afternoon activity. So that's kind of like the day part. And then because it's, the fun never ends at Webb, you'll have something in the evening sometimes. So you can either go to evening labs after dinner, or you can spend time with your friends, or there may be study hall. So there is always something kind of going on. But, and again, the days really change depending on what you need to do. But that's kind of a rough, like, linear schedule.
Yeah, and then to add on to what Brianna was saying, for boarders specifically, there's a check-in at 7:30 p.m. So like boarders a day, they obviously have the same like academic schedule, but then in the evening it shifts because we live on campus. And so at 7:30 p.m. there's a check-in with the prefects, which are is a student leadership group that helps like run the dorms. And then that's when labs start, so you can check out to go there if you want extra help or you want to go study with friends. And then labs end at 9 p.m. and you're expected to be back in your dorm like 9:05 because obviously like you need to walk back to your dorm. And then it's usually a quiet hour from 9 to 10 where you can just sit in your room study. And then there's for freshmen, it's lights out at 10:30. So a prefect will come by, they'll turn off your lights and say like good night and then close your door. For all the other students, it's just like a little knock on your door, so it's another check-in. Um, and then on weekends, so Friday night and Saturday night, there's no 7:30 check-in or 10:30 check-in. It's just an 11 p.m. doorways.
And then I can also add that for the academic day, you do have, as Brianna mentioned, 3 blocks in your day, but we at Web do run on a block schedule. So every single day you will have different blocks. We have 7 different blocks, A through G, and it can be a little confusing at the beginning as a new student, but you will, I promise you'll get used to it, and every day is very different at Webb. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about your experiences at Webb. We appreciate you just giving some of your insights to our incoming Webbies, and most of you will be able to connect with them next year when they're on campus in the fall. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Dr. Everett now to close us out and let us know what else to expect with some more of our upcoming events.
Okay, wonderful. So we have a couple of things that I wanted to share with families because I know that you don't have all of your questions answered. But we have some really fun upcoming events that we hope you'll be able to attend. And I wanted to just quickly talk about them. One is our Big Admitted Student Day, which is so exciting. It's next Friday at 9 a.m. And I always get the question every year, can parents come to this? And it's for students and for parents. It's a really fun day where you can meet more of your incoming class. You can sit on class visits. I hear we're going to have ice cream. It's a really great panels, a parent lunch, a student lunch, different panels. But it's a really great day where you can really get immersed in the daily life and pulse of Webb and meet a lot of our teachers, faculty, and staff and students. So really would love to see all of you there. And then we also have a couple of virtual events that I think will be very helpful. One is a great fireside chat with our Dean of College Guidance, Mr. Hector Martinez, and he's going to talk a lot about our college admission process. And, at Webb, we have an incredible college guidance program. 100% of our students go on to top colleges and universities. And it's a really great four-year program. And so he's going to talk a lot about our program and the counseling program and some of the colleges that our students go to. So you'll get emails about that. And then we also know that a lot of parents want to talk to other parents. And so even if you come to Admitted Student Day and you have more questions and you want to know about what is it like to be a Webb parent, we're going to have a Webb parent roundtable. And this will be parent to parent, and you'll meet our director of parent relations, and it'll be a really great opportunity for you to ask some of those questions to other parents about, their experience at Webb. Once you enroll, April 10th for boarding students, March 27th for day students, we have a course selection and enrollment process overview. And so this is really great. Our registrar and our director of studies will walk you through picking all the wonderful courses at Webb and talk about other enrollment forms that you'll need to do. So that's going to be on Thursday, April 16th. And then we also have a special session for international students. And so international students will be able to meet some of the ISLs that Mr. Ho talked about and really talk to other international students about their transition. And you can log into your student portal and register for all of these events. And then also early next week for parents, your enrollment agreement will come to you by email. The subject line will say Webb Agreement 2026. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me or admission office and enrollment at webb.org and we'll get your questions answered. But you'll have plenty of time to review all of the forms and ask us if you have any questions about that. So look out for that email early next week. And yeah, so exciting. So there's a lot of ways to connect. And then also, if you have any questions, I mean, this is the first of a conversation. We wanted to spend some time congratulating you tonight, but reach out to the admission office. We're here to connect you with community members. If there's a question you have, big or small, we're here to answer all the questions you have. So thank you.
All right, I guess that leaves for me to close it out. And just one last time, let's give a big round of applause and congratulate all of our newly admitted students. And I want to thank our students and faculty and staff on this for sharing some of your Friday afternoon with everyone. We are really excited. We're going into Webb Day. I don't know if you noticed, a lot of us are wearing pink. I'm kind of rooting for the senior class. That's their class color for Webb Day. But it's going to be a great weekend here. And we're looking forward to meeting all of you on campus at Admitted Student Day or in the fall and getting to know you throughout the spring in this process. So congratulations and welcome to Webb.